Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Amy from Neurotic Mom Bakes, and I thought I would take an opportunity to talk a little bit about myself, give you some background, tell you how I got started, tell you how this whole journey began. But first, a little bit about me. I have loved baking for as long as I can remember. I remember being 10 years old and begging my mom to make cookies. She oftentimes said no because I wasn't very good at cleaning up. Apparently, I'm still not very good at cleaning up. I'm kind of a messy baker, but I have always loved to bake, and I've baked my entire life. However, the thing that put me on the map, the social media map, is cakes. And I actually did not make a cake until I was 42 years old. That sounds so old to me. But I'm just telling you this because I am turning this into kind of a career, and it's starting to be profitable, and people are excited about it, and I'm sharing my recipes that I've made for years and years and years, and I'm developing new ones. And I'm just telling you that because it's never too late to start something new. For example, I play tennis, and I'm a fairly high level for women's ladies tennis. I did not pick up a racket until I was 40 years old. I play 4-0 singles now. So these two big things, but especially the baking, I did not start until I had 5 kids and had, raised them past the baby toddler stage until I was in my 40s. So it's never too late to start something new. But to tell you about how my social media kind of took off, I was invited to just a cake class, like a 3-hour beginner cake class by a friend. And I went, and it was awesome. I was totally hooked. It was Cake by Courtney up at Orsangigi in Salt Lake. She's amazing. And I just kind of learned the basics and thought, there are so many possibilities with cakes. So I bought some tools, and I came home and I started decorating. I did maybe 3 or 4 cakes. And at the time, I had a regular Instagram just with, a couple thousand followers, maybe 3 or 4, I can't remember. It's a personal one, and it was Neurotic Mom. It's always been Neurotic Mom. I've always been neurotic. I did not give myself that name. It was given to me. And I decided one day, these cakes take so long, and no one really appreciates how time-consuming these are. So I'm gonna set up a time-lapse camera with my phone and just video and time-lapse. And I videoed and I posted, and it got a lot of response. And this was back then. The video quality wasn't that good. My editing skills weren't good. I didn't know anything about lighting. I knew nothing, but it got a lot of response. It got a ton of comments and a lot of views. I thought, this is fun. I'm gonna keep doing this. And I made 3 or 4 more cakes like that. And then my husband's secretary said, would your wife make me a cake for my daughter's 2nd birthday? And I thought, sure. And she said, do Minnie Mouse theme. So I was a little nervous. I thought, okay. So I did a Minnie Mouse cake, and it went viral. And it was shared over and over and over all across the internet and viewed millions and millions of times. That kind of launched me into where I am now. Disney Family picked up a couple of my Disney cakes and did an interview, and ABC Disney did another interview that aired on their channel, and some newspaper articles, and it kind of spiraled. And I've gotten to the point now where I'm fairly confident in my cake decorating. I don't take custom orders anymore. I create for content. I raise money for charity. I give most of my cakes away, or I auction them and then donate the money to usually the National MS Society. My husband was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis about 5 years ago, so I feel very strongly about helping that cause. The first day that the camera, Morgan, showed up with the mic and the lights and the camera, I was so nervous. I did have kind of a mild anxiety attack the night before. I didn't sleep. I was so nervous. And it was something that I almost thought, I just don't need to do this. We'll just stick with Instagram. My Instagram was doing well. I don't need to do this. I almost bailed. I didn't. I powered through. It was pretty good. I've learned a lot. Again, learning curves. I'm learning so much as I go along. And I got through it, and I did it, and it wasn't terrible. And so I scheduled another one. And again, still nervous, got through it, but as each filming segment has gone along, I've gotten more and more comfortable. Now I feel totally comfortable in front of the camera. As you can tell, I just talk and talk and talk and talk. And I found it's kind of another one of my strengths, that I am I can do stuff on camera, and it was super scary at first, but now I did it and I'm comfortable doing it, and look where it's going. I'm even so comfortable now that Morgan's a really good guy, and if you followed me on Instagram for a while, you know I have a problem swearing. It's a weakness. I've tried to work on it. It's something I just do. And I got so comfortable on YouTube that in our last filming session, I swore in front of him, and hopefully he'll still come back. And because baking is the cause for lots of swearing, I think. There's just so many like mishaps that happen, but yeah. In 2018, I got the idea to raise some money for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. March is MS month, and so I made as many cakes as I could in the month of March, and I sold them for $100 a piece, and I raised about $1,500. Well, the next year, someone sparked an idea. I can't remember, they sent me a message, and she was a baker, and she said, could I auction one of my cakes and donate to your charity? And the idea just popped in my head, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna throw this out there. So bakers around the world were going to bake, it didn't have to be cakes, some did macarons, but a lot of them did cake decorating, and they auctioned it off for charity to raise money, and then they would get a shout out. They would send me a picture of their cake that they sold, and they would get a shout out on my Instagram. Back then I had about 250,000 followers, which is pretty big, and it was a win-win situation. Money got donated to my charity that I love, and then they were able to grow their Instagram just by me showing their cake and their handle, and they averaged about a 10% growth, and we ended up raising almost $20,000 in just that month for the Multiple Sclerosis Society. So that was so exciting. I had bigger plans for 2020, but as you know, in March, everything just kind of hit the fan, and we had to put everything on hold. There was a shortage of ingredients, and people were losing their jobs, and so I did not want people to spend money on ingredients to do that. So we just put it on hold, but hopefully in 2021, we're going to beat that goal, and it won't be an issue anymore with COVID. I mean, COVID will still be around, but hopefully we'll be able to pick back up and raise even more money in 2021. I used to be a professional ballerina. I was a principal in my company. I've done solo roles. I've been the Sugar Plum Fairy and other various things. And I took up ballet when I was 8 years old, and I auditioned for the Nutcracker that first year. I think I was 8.5 or 9, and I made it. And I discovered my absolute love for performing. And so ballet became my entire life until I got pregnant with my first child, actually. I loved it. And I took up teaching when I was about 18 years old, and I taught for 27 years at 2 different studios. My recent studio I was at for 19 years, and I just retired just last June. I just felt it was time for me to move on and try new things, focus a little bit more on my brand and my baking, and yeah. So I have a lot of young moms message me and ask, how do you do all that you do? I can't even bake a batch of cookies. My kids are, I have babies and toddlers, and I always tell them, I don't think I could have done all that I do now when I was in the baby toddler phase. My kids are older now, and I have more time. They're in school, and also I have a very supportive family and husband who really feel strongly that if I have talents or passions or things that I want to do, he's fully supportive, and my kids are too. And I think it's very healthy for kids to see their moms thrive and have hobbies and be happy and do, just some things outside of being a wife and a mom. I love, love, love being a wife and a mom. I love my babies. I love my toddlers. But it's a hard stage. It's exhausting. It's very time consuming. I would still bake, but tennis was out of the question. I did teach some ballet. I've always worked a little bit because that was just something I needed to do. Now that my kids are in school, I have a lot more time during the day to focus on tennis. I'll usually play tennis first thing in the morning after they're in school, and then I'll come home and think, what am I gonna bake today? Okay, my favorite thing that I've ever baked, gosh, I have some cakes that I'm really, really proud of. Most recent one that I can think of is my Tinkerbell cake. That turned out above and beyond everything I expected it to be. The wings and the skirt and the little balls on the bottom, like her little slippers, and just the sparkles. That one I'm really proud of. My Scrooge cake. Character cakes are intimidating, like novelty cakes and character cakes. They're a little bit intimidating. However, I found that they're kind of my specialty. I had this idea for a Scrooge cake, and I was actually sponsored by HBO Max to make the Scrooge cake and promote their holiday lineup, and gosh, that turned out just exactly how I envisioned in my head. So that's another one that I'm really proud of. I have several others, and I'll put some pictures up. I have a safari cake that I've done, I loved, a butterfly cake. There's just, this whole journey has been learning, just learning new things, new techniques, and it's just given me a lot of confidence that I can figure things out. I can figure out better lighting, better editing, how to add music to my videos. What new things can I bake? What can I try next? It's been so much fun. And if I can do it, I'm the least technologically savvy person ever. Ask my kids, ask my husband. Every time I get on the computer, something doesn't work out and they have to come to my rescue. But just that I've been able to figure all this stuff out on Instagram and different apps for editing and videoing and stuff like that has just, it sounds crazy, but it's empowering. It's given me a lot of confidence that I can do this stuff, and so can you. If I can, you can. I've had no formal training. I've taught everything to myself. It's just trial and error and learning from your mistakes, and just then just feeling really good about all your triumphs and moving on to the next thing. And I also feel really passionate about sharing everything I've learned to you for free. I know a lot of bakers offer some online classes. That's wonderful. Or cookbooks, that's great too. But for me, I feel strongly about making this available to everyone at no charge. That's why I think YouTube is the best platform for that, because the written recipes are there in my description box, and I walk you through everything, and it doesn't cost you anything. So that's what I feel passionate about, is sharing what I've learned with all of you. Okay, another thing I really would like to talk about, because I want to normalize it. I feel this is another topic I feel very strongly about, and it's mental illness. I have struggled with depression and anxiety. Now that I look back and now that I know what it feels like and what it is, since I was a kid, since I was 10 years old, now that I can look back on some of those feelings that I had and thoughts that I had, I know that it's something I've dealt with my entire life. And it's an ebb and flow. And sometimes it's really manageable and really good, and other times it has really knocked me down hard. So that's something I want to advocate for. I feel like a lot of people, especially women, feel like it's something they can't talk about. They may feel like they're a failure, or that it's held them back in some ways. And I am here to tell you that it is possible to, number one, get help, that it is okay to seek therapy and or medication, that you can still live your life and try new things. I will say that I had terrible anxiety in my late 30s, and after I had my last baby, it was completely debilitating, to the point where I was at home, I was in bed, I didn't dare do anything. I barely left the house. I mean, it really controlled my life. The thing that has given me confidence, I know this sounds crazy, is I did finally have a day where it just hit me. I have got to just try something new. I've got to get out. I've got to get some exercise. I'm not saying that exercise is the cure, because I have taken medication, and I do take medication. And there's no shame in that. I'm not ashamed to tell people that. But the thing that pulled me out of that severe anxiety was tennis. All my kids were playing. My daughter decided to play. I had no kids that were ballerinas. I have 4 boys and 1 girl, and I've taught ballet my whole life. And then once my daughter decided to quit ballet and pick up tennis, I just thought, it really means a lot to me to be able to do things with my kids, so I need to learn this. And trust me, it was terrifying. I had a panic attack so bad the morning of and then after my first tennis lesson, but I continued to go, I continued to do it, and it just gave me confidence. And it just gave me so much confidence. And then I was able to try new things. I would never have gone to the cake class ever in a million years unless I had somehow gotten control of my anxiety and my depression. Just this last year, so I had gotten off all the meds and I was doing okay, but just this last year, I just felt a slow sinking into my depression was coming back, you know, the ebbs and flows, and I was just at a valley. My son had moved home across the world, and then COVID happened, and it was just a lot of things. And so I finally just decided to go get help, and I feel better. And my next step is therapy. I haven't quite crossed that bridge yet. Medication and, you know, doing a lot of reading and meditating, but that's my next hurdle. So I just want to throw that out there, that just know that you are not alone, that it can be manageable, that it's okay to talk about, and it does not make you a weak person. Okay, so hopefully you have learned a little bit more about me, and really what I hope is that you might be a little bit inspired to, whatever struggles you're having, get out of your comfort zone, try something new. You just have to take that first step. And there are many instances that I have taken that first step, and I'm so glad I did. And it doesn't have to be baking, it doesn't have to be tennis, it doesn't have to be being in front of a camera. Just what do you feel passionate about? What makes you happy? Just get out of your comfort zone, try it, and see where it takes you. Because if I can do it, you can do it. I feel like I need to start dancing in the end of my